My name is Jim Porter. I am the president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Welcome to one of the greatest days of the year for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And so we have 8 men who are joining just 354 others to make the number 362 that have ever played the game or contributed or coached the game that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I'm going to get right to it here and start announcing who we're bringing in today. Tony Boselli, 7 seasons, 1995-2001 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah.
Have a seat there, sir. No, stand, I'm sorry. Leroy Butler. 12 seasons, 1990-2001 Green Bay Packers. Richard Seymour, defensive end, defensive tackle, 12 seasons shared between the New England Patriots and the Oakland Raiders. Coach Dick Vermeil, 15 seasons, Philadelphia Eagles, St. Louis Rams, Kansas City Chiefs. And Bryant Young, 14 seasons, San Francisco 49ers. With that, I'll hand things over to Rich DeRosiers.
Jim, and you hand over your microphone to Tony, please.
Absolutely.
Bryant, you'll take this one. I'm just going to get things started with one quick question to each of you. Get everybody loosened up a little bit. Tony, did you have to lie to Westwood and let them know that you couldn't have any assignments this weekend?
I did lie to a lot of people. Leroy told me not to lie, but yeah, that was probably the hardest part. We found out a couple weeks ago, and you have a bunch of people you're close to asking questions. You're trying to make plans, like, hey, what are you doing for the Super Bowl? You're trying to make up a reason to go to L.A., but it was well worth it.
Leroy, when you got your knock on the door, one of the first things you said was, "Where's my Bible?"
Exactly. I thought it was the police. But I'm thinking, wouldn't they ring the bell? No, that's the feds. But it's a joke, people. But you really don't know how you're going to react, because all of us have been waiting a long time for this. And for me, my mother, who's my role model, passed away 5 years ago. And I remember her saying to have 2 speeches. And I said, when I was 11 years old, she told me to have 2 speeches. I said, what's that all about, Mom? She said, one for if you get an A, and one if you get a D, as in dog. So every year, as everybody knows, if you're a finalist, you're thinking it's that time. And then my wife said, now you know what a woman feels like when a guy wants to get married. We wait for guys all the time to propose, and they never do. But sooner or later, they do. So today, we got married.
All right. Richard, after the University of Georgia won the national championship and then this news, have you stopped smiling since the
Go Dogs, go Dogs. Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously I went to the University of Georgia, and, Kirby's doing a great job with the organization down there, and, a lot of talent. And, for me, it's a tremendous accomplishment, so many people to thank. Coach Belichick. I remember when a scout came, Lionel Vitale, he came to the University of Georgia, and he said, Richard, you want to play 3-4 defensive end? And I'd never had played 3-4 defensive end. And I was like, what pick they got? He was like, yeah, no, they're inside of the top 10. Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do want to play. And so obviously went there and, been drafted by Coach Belichick, who I feel is, one of the premier minds in all of football. And he just instilled so much confidence in me, and, told me, who I was as a player, and that meant so much. So I'm grateful to be here. And like I said, it's so many people to thank along with.
Coach, in Los Angeles, one of the favorite games to play is the 6 degrees of separation for Kevin Bacon. And I think with your longevity, the people who coached under you, the people you coached for, it's about 3 degrees from anybody who ever strapped on a chin strap. We can get from them to you in about 3 steps. And you've talked a lot about the relationships you built through all the years. And I wonder if you could share a little bit about that.
Well, I really learned how important relationships were as I moved up the ladder of coaching young kids in high school, then junior college, and then college. And I found and gradually learned and taking the advice of John Wooden, my job was not so much to win football games as to make each football player the best player he could be, whether he's the third string guard or the all-pro guard, just help him be the best he could be. And sometimes that requires more than fundamental football. Sometimes it's a lot deeper for some of these kids, and I think we all know that. And the relationships that I've developed in coaching with my coaching staff and with my players is lifelong friendship, and they are responsible for me being here.
Don't know if many people in the audience know, the Hall of Fame receives a lot of letters, emails, phone calls of support for candidates for election to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But very unusual this year was a Zoom session with 6 or 7 offensive linemen who, to a man, said that a person who deserves to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame was Bryant Young. And Bryant, to know that your peers that you played against every Sunday felt that strongly about you being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I was really humbled by that act of those guys that jumped on that call. When I think about playing the game, you always think, how can I be the best for my organization? One, and also for yourself, but also how can I be the best for my teammate and be accountable? And then the other thing is that I played the game to make sure that I earned the respect of my opponent. And for those guys to come together and say the things that they said, it really humbled me. And as much regard and respect that I have for those guys, just understanding, sometimes you play and you don't even, hear some of the things that may be said about you, but for those guys to come and participate and be a part of that, it was really special to hear those words. I'm deeply humbled by that, to earn their respect. I have so much respect and regard for them as well.
Good. We're going to open it up to the floor now. If you have questions, Salim, get a microphone to you. In the red. Red.
Hey, Tony, this is for you. This is Kyle Nash with the three-point conversion. You, amongst all the gentlemen up here, have the distinguished honor of being the first of a franchise to get into the Hall. First of all, talk about how much more gravity that adds to the honor. Welcome to Canton, by the way. And then as a follow-up, who do you think should follow you next into the Hall from Jacksonville?
Well, first of all, it's a huge honor. I think every guy up here said it. I don't think you don't get here by yourself. There's a bunch of people in my life that helped me get to this point, and part of those is guys I played with in Jacksonville. It's the coaches I had. Was fortunate to have a guy like Tom Coughlin, who probably deserves to be in the Hall of Fame one day, what he's done as a coach. Mike Mazer is an offensive line coach. So I had a lot of good players and guys around me. And so to be able to represent that organization, since I got drafted there in '95 as the first pick, and now going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, is something that I'm proud of. I take it seriously, representing the organization, and it's something I love. And people ask me all the time, do you wish you would have gone to the Packers or the Patriots, these great historic franchises? And I said, I'm good with the Jaguars. I'm good, and I like representing, and I like that we're the first pick. And as far as the next guy, I think I had the opportunity to play with a lot of really good offensive players, 2 of the best in that era. And Leroy played against these guys. A guy named Fred Taylor and Jimmy Smith are as good as anyone who ever played the game. So I'm pretty biased to those guys.
Right here.
Coach, Margaret Carrero with KNX. First of all, congratulations on being inducted. Wondering how you're feeling tonight, being inducted after all these years. Kind of a 3-parter here. How you're feeling about being inducted, your thoughts about Torrey Holt not joining you, being passed up again, and what you think it will take for the LA Rams to take that big game on Sunday.
Well, how do I feel first? I feel deeply in debt. Deeply in debt to, these guys are here because of what they did physically and emotionally and intelligently as players. As a football coach, you get here because of the people you surround yourself. and I'm in debt to every one of them. The Mike Marches, the Al Saunders, the Jim Hannafins, the Bud Parsons, the George Allens, Tommy Prothos, the John Ralstons, gosh, so many, you know, and I'm so in debt to the Mike Solaris and the people that work, you know, Wilbert Montgomery that I made a coach of, Carl Harrison, John Bunning, Peter John, you know, these guys. And you talk about players. 4 of my players on our Ram championship team are already in the Hall of Fame, and Torrey Hope will be. I know what they look like. I've seen them. I've coached 14 NFL players. I've worked with, as an assistant coach, I've coached 5. I know what they look like, and he is one, but there are so many. And to get here as a wide receiver today is probably tougher than any other position to get here, because everybody in the NFL catches the football extremely well. But Torrey will be here because he is one. He is. Well, you know, I've coached Rams for George Allen, Tommy Prothro, and Chuck Knox, and then myself. So I've been a Ram. Carol Rosenblum, you know, Dan Reeves. I mean, I was at, is it Dan Reeves? My memory, the original owner I worked for. And
Yep.
gosh, I've been around the Rams for a long time, and I kind of believe they're the best team. But as the old expression Frank Gans used to say, you only have to be the best team game day. It's the only time it counts. It's not the NFL. Excuse me, it's not the NBA, or it's not Major League Baseball. It's not the best of 7, you know. And I think we've already seen maybe a better team lose. Okay, so I still think the Rams, through the complete roster, as I study the numbers, which I really study them, they're a slightly better team. But if someone turns it over at the wrong time, someone gets a pass interference call at the wrong time, yeah, they'll lose a football game. That's how tough it'll be.
Right here in the white.
Congratulations to all you men on this accomplishment. I got a question for Butler and Seymour. Butler, what does leadership mean to you? And Seymour, what does teamwork mean to you? Your career was one that you needed teamwork to be successful in your career. What does teamwork mean to you?
Yeah, well, for me, it's funny. The first time, my rookie season, went to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, and that was, you know, against the Rams, and we came out as a team. And I think at the end of the day, you know, trust me, we're all fortunate and excited to be here in the Hall of Fame. And those are individual honors, but when you talk about leadership and teamwork, you know, I think that encompasses so much. And, you know, we didn't play for Pro Bowls. We didn't play for all of those things. We played for our brother next to us, and we wanted them to succeed, because if we won, we get the recognition that we needed. So at the end of the day, you know, for me, I think it's about a body of work. It's not about one game or, you know, one season, because you can have, you know, guys can have, you know, do well one season and then missing the next, or whatever the case. So I think it's about a body of work throughout the entire course.
That's a great question about leadership, because for me, it was my mom. I was a special needs student, special education, couldn't read. And I told her at 8 years old I want to play in the NFL to get her out of the project. So leadership is my mom raising 5 kids, and one of them needs a little help. So I say football is the best one, because I need 10 other guys to help me reach my goal. And she taught me the next level. Leadership is something that my teachers went through, because I was a kid that was bullied. I was a kid that didn't get the sleepovers and didn't get chosen to go swimming, but my teachers kept me focused. And shout out to all the teachers, because we only see that when they do something bad happens, but my teachers are platinum, because they're the smartest people in the world. Every year they get a different 30 students, and they make them smart. So if it wasn't for my teachers, I wouldn't be on this stage today. And I came up from Jacksonville, Florida, and Tony know where I'm from, in the inner city, in the projects. And to make it here, I got to let kids in the inner city and in school know this is not a mistake. This is how God wanted it to be. But I think leadership also, in closing, is Jim, he's kind of modest. But the way Jim has started this new journey as being, I call him the new boss. But for him, the reason why he's a good leader is when I got the knock, he understands the anxiety of the players of wanting to be in. You could feel it. If it was up to him, everybody would be in. But he just feels what guys go through, like Tony, waiting 5 and 6 years. Leadership is make people understand that it's going to be new things, but we understand what guys are going through. So to me, that's what leadership is all about. And Richard hit on all the points. Without my teammates, trust me, without Brett Favre and Reggie White, there's no way I'm up here. I mean, that's just a fact. But my coaches were great too. But that's what I think. So parents and teachers and great leadership is what I always think about every day.
Hi, Leroy. Dave Schrader from WBAY TV in Green Bay. First of all,
They
congratulations.
gave you a credential?
They sure did. I don't know why.
Hey, we done made it, y'all. We in here. Okay.
Oh, I want to know, just after waiting so long, you retired after 2001. It's been 2 decades. Does waiting longer make today more special? And
No.
as each year,
No.
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 And as each year passed, what did it mean to keep waiting and then to finally have your day come?
Me and my mom had a discussion, and she was saying at the time how many players won't ever get this opportunity. So when I was a semifinalist, she said, okay, this is great. But she always taught me to be a patient person because, I mean, I couldn't walk until I was like 5 or 6. And then I had these braces on my legs like Forrest Gump. I was Forrest Gump before Tom Hanks, by the way. But so I've been a patient person my whole life. And every year your fans just get so emotional about it. And I love the fans. I mean, they're the DNA of me and of the state of Wisconsin. So, but my wife said something to me that was platinum after the Packers, well, they didn't win. I don't like to say lost, but she said, now it's up to you to help the state of Wisconsin feel good if you can get into the Hall of Fame. So I've been patient every year. I never wanted to attack the voters because it's hard. We were talking about this on the way over here. It's under 400 guys in the Hall of Fame, and I think only 170 is still living. So I'm telling to all the guys, it's worth waiting on. And trust me, it's going to feel it's amazing that you get in this year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So I just tell God, just be patient, and one day it will pay off. So God got a plan for everybody. Everything will be okay.
This is Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. This question is for Mr. Young, actually. You mentioned something that I'll be honest with you, I've never heard before. You mentioned that it was important for you to earn the respect also of your opponent. That's something very different. So I wanted to find out what inspired you to develop that as a goal, or who did you learn that from, and how important is that for you even now that you're no longer necessarily in the game?
Yeah, I think every day is an opportunity to get better. And for me, being able to go and play against some of the guys that I played against, and that particularly some of the guys that spoke up on my behalf and advocated for me, it was important for me to work, and not only just to play well, but make sure that, like, I didn't want to go out there and demand anything. I had to go out and work to get something back. And so that was always important to me, and that was instilled in me by my dad. People aren't going to give you respect. You have to earn it until you do something otherwise. And so for me, every opportunity I had a chance to go out on the field and play against a guy, I never took it for granted. And I always made sure that I was prepared. And so it was critically important that I did my due just in terms of my preparation, and then playing the game, with the utmost of respect for my opponent. And that was really important for me, just to, be able to do it in that manner. And so, I I wasn't a big talker on the field. And so people knew that, you know. And my dad would always say, you know, walk quietly with a big stick. So that never left. And that spoke to just being humble, but allow your body of work to speak for itself. And I just wanted to make sure I did that each time I stepped out on the field, that I was able to make sure that my opponent respected, regarded me a certain way as I did them as well.
At this time, we're gonna peel off Coach and Bryant for some radio interviews. We'll still continue with questions to Tony, Leroy, and Richard, and Coach and Bryant will be back in a few minutes. Bryant, Siri.
Hi, Mayra Gomez from Maximo Avance, Mexico City. First of all, felicidades a los tres. Congratulations to all three of you. This is a two-question for all three of you. You're in the Hall of Fame now. Can you answer what is the best gift you have received from the NFL, and what is your advice to the next generation looking to come into the Hall of Fame?
Best gift, you know, I think it's probably the relationships. I mean, the people that I've been able to meet and develop relationships in the locker room, around the game. You know, heck, I met my wife because I went to USC because I was good at football. Trust me, my family was not paying for me to go to USC.
It wasn't your good looks?
No, it wasn't my good luck. And so I just think the people that have come into my life and what the game's taught me. I mean, the principles of teamwork and hard work and perseverance and, you know, just to keep on fighting through tough times. I mean, I learned that all because of football. So, I mean, those are just the relationships and the life principles are probably the greatest gift. And I'll say this, you know, my career ended early because I got hurt. And I guess the one thing I tell anyone who ever played this game, don't take it for granted. Because if I have any regrets looking back, is I probably took it a little bit for granted. Because you just think, you know, you play the game. You know, it's going to be there. You know, I'll go play 15 years, I'll retire when I'm done. And this game's unforgiving in that manner, so enjoy it. Because you never know. You never know when it might be the last time. And it's a great game. I love it.
I guess the best gift would be the money, right? Be a millionaire. I mean, who could not answer it like that? Well, I'm broke now, but it was fun when I played. It was fun. I don't have any money. Maybe right, HOF, we can make some more money. I think it gives you a platform to, as Tony does a great job on radio, and it gives you another sense of what else can I be. And football is amazing because, let's be honest, when you walk in the locker room, you got guys 21 to 31. How do you get all these personalities to come together? And it's hard. I know the fans want their team to win the Super Bowl every year. I really do. I understand that. But what football does is when you see the headlines and everything going on, when you're in the locker room, I think that's when you're at your safest place. And that's what we probably miss the most, camaraderie. The best gift the NFL has ever given me is made friends, family, fans, and being able to connect. And especially in our communities. I mean, having that shield makes a big difference when you go into communities to do camps and things of that nature. But the biggest thing is, whether we want to admit it or not, globally, people may say soccer, but the NFL is king. So it gives us a platform to do what we want to do off the field as well as on the field. So that's a huge benefit. You know, now being in the Hall of Fame, you can just expand that tent a little bit more.
Yeah, I think these guys said it best. I think it's really the relationship that you cultivate over a lifetime of career. Football is supported to be in rooms, circles that coming up I'd never be in if I didn't. It teaches you so much about life, of ups and downs, because trust me, we're here as Hall of Famers, but every play that we played, you know, wasn't a Hall of Fame. It teaches you about perseverance, of ups, trials. We want to get. You know, I think in terms of at the end of the day, it all really boils to me hard work. Put forth the best effort, whatever that is. If I tell my kids all the time, all I want is your best, whatever that is, and that's different for everybody. I think you just want to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, say, I know I gave everything, and I didn't leave any stone unturned. Sleep good and look. My best may be different from Leroy's.
Yeah, because all my kids wanted my Cash App. Dad, Cash App me. I'm like, I don't have any money.
Yeah, no. So that's.
I'm wondering what it meant to have him announce you tonight, Bruce Smith.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, I don't think that, I mean, if you notice, he had a different color jacket. He had the red jacket, the top 100. So that's kind of like the Hall of Fame of Hall of Famers. And you know, obviously I had the opportunity to play against him in big games, playoff games, and he was one of the greatest ever. And so to have him part of this evening, because that was probably the big coming out game for me in my second year, it was special. It was pretty cool. It was a neat moment.
Having crossed paths with Sam Mills on the field, how would you describe his impact as an opponent, and what was he like to prepare for?
Yeah, I mean, I think I played him near the end of his career when he was with the Carolina Panthers. They had a good team. They went to the NFC Championship that second year, and we played each other. And he was just, one of those guys that, obviously not a big guy as far as how his height, but he was just so smart. Like the anticipation of what you were trying to do, was what's made it so hard to block him. Because a lot of times if you just go out there, I mean, you do. I think everyone does. You kind of gauge the guy you're playing against. You're like, oh, it's not gonna be that hard to get, go block this guy. And then all of a sudden they're there quicker than you can get there. They read. They're smart. And that was Sam Mills. I mean, he was just and that was a great defense. They had a lot of veterans on that Panther defense. He was the leader, and he was really dang good.
Yeah, Sam Mills is the reason why one day Zach Thomas will be here. Because Sam Mills, Ricky Jackson, who's in Hall of Fame, those guys were amazing with the Saints, but it showed kids maybe going to the combine and you're not 6'4", 220 pounds, but you can still play whatever size you are. And he played it at a high level. And Tony Hitty's smart. I mean, it was just funny how quarterbacks used to audible to try to get him to move out of the box, and he was going nowhere because he knew the formation, he knew what was going on. Then at that point, he gets into attack mode. But the reason why he is amazing because people like Zach Thomas gonna follow him up. You don't have to be a certain size to play in this league. You just gotta be smart, got great teammates, and just want to do it. That's what Sam Mills is all about.
Hi, Lindsay Jones from The Athletic. Just two of you guys.
You don't have to ask us stuff. You could just wait on them if you want.
No, I'd love to hear from both of you. We haven't gotten to see the knock videos yet. Could you take us back to that moment when you...
Wait a minute. Can we talk about that? Where's Jim?
We'll get to see them soon, but I'd love to hear from you what that moment was like at your houses. We heard about the Bible
Disclaimer
already.
out there.
But what that felt like and what it was like kind of celebrating that.
No, it's a good question. It really is, because the reason why it's a platinum question is because, like you said, people don't know, but how were they going to do it? Because Mr. Baker, that was his thing. And I'm thinking, okay, how's this going to work? Because we still have COVID, we have everything going on. But I got to give the Hall of Fame committee and Jim, they came up with something that they know me and Tony, Richard, Coach would like, and BY, our teammates or people we know and respect, get them involved. So again, you don't really know how you're going to react because you're thinking, well, I just had a vision that if I did have it, because I'm an executive chef, that I want to do an interview in the kitchen because I do all the cooking at my house. I tell my wife, take care of the kids, keep them away from me. I'd rather cook for 7 days. I don't want to deal with 6 girls and a son. Well, my son's my favorite. 6 daughters, man. They say you're not supposed to say that. I'm saying it.
It's out there now.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
go with it.
But trust me, I tell him every day because he does exactly what I ask him to do. So doing that interview in my kitchen, in my island, I said, this is what heaven is like. Because sometimes you dream things and you say, oh, that's just anxiety because it's never going to happen. But the more and more you kind of open your mind to say it'll possibly happen. And I don't know why Jim and the crew, Steve White, who he's platinum, he just came and stopped in the kitchen as if I didn't tell them to do it. My wife didn't. They just stopped there. And I said, this is what I love. This is my sanctuary in the kitchen. So that to me felt great. And then once it was over, I said, how are they going to do the other guys? You know, having, you know, something new. So it meant a lot to me. It really did. And not to mention getting that many people to come to Wisconsin, and it was 11 degrees without the wind chill. And this, you know, they live in good weather. They didn't even flinch over that without the wind chill. So it's below. But it was people there, and they weren't cold because they knew this moment was big. So it meant a lot. Tony, how was yours?
It was good. So, my wife, I learned that she's good at lying because she lied for 10 days.
Allegedly.
Yeah, no, knowing that I made it and she wouldn't tell me. So she had a ruse with some good friends of ours. Long story short, we were at a friend's house and there's a knock on the door. My buddy says, hey, can you go get the door for me? And I said, sure. And I open it up and it's Anthony Munoz. And I mean, you know, as an SC Trojan, he's an SC guy. In my opinion, he's the greatest to ever played position that I played. It's someone I looked up to, someone I watched film on when I was in college, someone I developed a relationship when I was in the pros. For him to be there, you know, so it's him, the NFL Network, all the Hall of Fame people, and then my entire family. I have 5 kids, my wife, my mom, my stepmom. My dad had passed away about 6 months earlier, so he wasn't there. But it was just, it was amazing. So that was just a moment. I just sat there and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, first of all, I'm in the Hall of Fame. Second, it's Anthony Munoz, who I look up to. And third, my wife, I told my wife, Angie, I said, we have to have a little talk. If you're that good at lying, then I got to figure out what else I need to find out about. So, but it was a great moment. It was a great moment.
BY.
Yeah. So I got this. Well, let me go back. So my wife and I went out on a kind of a date that day. We had a date day, I should say. And we had dropped the kids off at a class or something, and we were eating lunch and just having a conversation. And she was like, "So how do you feel about all of this stuff that happened? What potentially happened?" Like, well, it's very humbling. One, to be part of the 15, and then just now being on the verge of being part of this brotherhood. And I said, I think kind of the way they do it, I said, if I was chosen, you probably would know before I do. But what makes you think that? And so she played it off really, really smooth. And so the day went on. We went back to the house and we had this meeting. And as we were sitting in this meeting, there was a loud knock on the door. Somebody was about to break my hinges off. It was Charles Haley when I went to the door. Just just was thoroughly surprised. I saw the big grin and his pinhead standing at the door. But I have so much respect. It was so special because of the respect and the regard I have for him as a player and all that he stands for, and just his story and just being transparent with mental illness and being an advocate for others and just getting the word out. But had a chance to play with him, and just an incredible professional. When the guy steps on the field, his work ethic was like none other I've seen. So I knew immediately that Charles was about business. It was just the other stuff he had to get through off the field. But incredible guy, a lot of respect for him. And that made it very special when it was him at the door.
hour special on the knocks on the door, and you can see more of this interaction between these gentlemen and the Hall of Famers who got to knock on their doors. That will be 9 o'clock on NFL Network. So shameless plug time. 9 o'clock Eastern, that's right. Saturday. Well coached. Leroy, can we have you for a minute?
Hey, Tony, congratulations. You know what Jacksonville has been through the last 22 years with professional football. I mean, what does tonight mean for the fans in Jacksonville? And does this help give them hope for the future of the franchise?
Well, based on Twitter and my text messages, I think they're pretty happy. So, you know, I'm happy for them. I mean, I love that place. And I've talked about it a bunch, that representing the city and the fan base and the organization is important to me. It always has been, and this is another opportunity for me to do that. As far as, you know, the success or lack of success, more lack of the organization, you know, that hopefully that's going to change. I believe it will. Got a new coach. I'm excited about that with Doug Peterson. Hopefully this is the start of a good 2022 and get things on the right track. And you can't change what's happened in the past, but hopefully we are going to have some better days ahead. And again, like I said, I hope this is the start of it.
Hello, good night, guys. Congratulations for making the Hall of Fame. I'm Federico Olvera for Damebola from Radio 3 in Mexico. Hey, guys, can you share with us, each of you, your best performance, the best game you did in your career, and what did you do that day, please?
Best performance, I would say I played a game. It was probably I think it was the Falcons. It was a home game, and just felt like I was in this space that could do anything I wanted to. It was a game where I had 3 sacks. Safety in that game to win or to stop our opponent from on a drive to make a comeback. But, you know, that was just a regular season game. But one of the most incredible games that I experienced was playing in the Super Bowl. You see games being played over the years and players that play as long as they do that don't have an opportunity to play in those games. And for me to be able to play in the Super Bowl my rookie year was really special. And, you know, just having an opportunity to start and be a part of something unique and special, it was a really, I don't remember it being a very high statistical game for me, but it was memorable because it was the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know, my problem is the position, you know, as an offensive lineman, I was always looking for that perfect game. I never had one. You know, you play 70 snaps, 69 would be perfect. You do something on that one. So that's all you ever thought about. I mean, I had a lot of big games, a lot of fun games. Like every playoff game I loved because the stakes were high. So, I mean, first playoff game ever against Bruce Smith is a highlight. I mean, I don't know if it was my best game, but it was sure a big game for me and for our franchise and for our organization. But I think the nature of the position as an offensive lineman, you're always searching for that perfect game, and very rarely do you ever get it because it's such a hard at this level. You're trying to block guys like this for 70 straight plays. It's tough to pitch a shutout, and but every once in a while maybe you get close, and those are fun moments.
Hey man, Cameron Buford again, Los Angeles News Observer. Tony, you talked about Anthony Munoz. I don't know if this would be the guy you looked up to coming into the league, but I want to ask the both of you guys, who did you look up to coming into the league? And then as you watch, I know you follow football, you cover it. Who's some of the players, who's a right tackle or left tackle that you really admire his game today? And the same with you, Bryant. Who did you look up to as you came into the league and not polish your game after, but who do you look up to? Who did you admire as you was a youth playing football? And then who do you see today that you like what they do and you like watching them on Sundays?
Yeah, so, I mean, I didn't play offensive line until I was a junior in high school. Back then, not too many guys woke up when they were 7 years old and said, I can't wait to go block for a living. So, but when I got to USC, I was fortunate in a number of ways. One, my offensive line coach is a guy named John Matsko, who's now been in the NFL, for 25 years, 26. He's with the Washington football team, because I can't think of their new name, so I'm sure I'll get it wrong. So it's the Washington football team. And then I backed up a guy named Pat Harlow, who was a first-round draft pick of the New England Patriots. And so I got to watch firsthand, as a true freshman, backing him up of how to play the game. And then as I went through USC, I found tape of Anthony Munoz, and I started watching coaching tape of him. And I just modeled my game. I'm like, okay, if this is how the best does it, I should probably try to do something like that as well. So I was really fortunate. I had great coaches. A guy named Mike Berry was my coach my last 2 years. I mean, those are the guys that really I looked up to and said, like, because they helped me become who I was. And then, and then the pinnacle is Anthony Munoz. As far as guys today, I mean, my favorite left tackle is Trent Williams for the San Francisco 49ers. To me, it's not close. There's a lot of other good players. Tyron Smith, another SC guy, love him too. But Trent Williams, the way he played this year and the way he's played through his career, he's a violent football player, and I think that's how the game should be played. And he is physical, he comes off the ball, so that'd be the guy that kind of stands at the top of the list right now. But there's a lot of really good ones.
For me, I grew up in Chicago, and so I was a huge Chicago Bear fan. And the guy that I really admired and watched was Richard Dent. He was a great defensive end. He had great presence in the pocket on the quarterback, both run and pass. He played it well. And so I watched him. And from an intensity standpoint, I loved Mike Singletary's intensity and his leadership. And so those guys were standouts for me. But as far as the position, Richard really kind of had my eye. And then I had a chance my rookie year to play with him. And so having grown up watching him play and then having the opportunity to play with him my first year in the league, it was really special because of the respect that I had for him. He actually taught me a lot, just the nuances of pass rushing and just helping me kind of, move my feet and change my stance a little bit to get a little better takeoff. And so I really appreciated that. And I tell you, just, as I got going from an interior standpoint, getting the pointers from Rich helped, but it was also, too, watching other guys in the league at the time. It was like, John Randall, who was a very active inside guy. And then Warren came on the scene, and he was a very active inside guy. Kennedy was a very active, Cortez Kennedy, that is, very active inside guy. And so you watch guys like that around the league, and you try and gain every bit you can to add to your game in some way. What are they doing different? How can I adapt that game or adopt? And so those are the guys that I really admired. But Rich was a guy that really helped me in my first year, just watching some of those guys. But today, the one player that really stands out to me is Aaron Donald, very explosive rusher, very quick, twitchy guy. You leave him singled up, he's dangerous. So you have to make sure that you turn the protection to him and you have an answer for him and you know where he is. So I like the way he plays the game. And I'll say this, he kind of reminds me of myself a little bit when I was playing. But, just watching and the way guys train too and using mixed martial arts, the game has evolved a little bit in terms of how you train and how you can become better as an athlete playing the defensive line against guys that are super athletic. And but I like the way he plays. I like his style.
Brian, this is for you. First of all, it's a pleasure as a childhood 49er fan to see you up here. So welcome to Kenton. But with all the stuff going on in the news, Tom Brady retiring, getting that 20-year mark, what's it like what's the challenge for longevity for you? I mean, 14 years battling against a group of guys that are getting paid to make 20 years happen at best case scenario for a quarterback. What's the challenge for longevity for you in the trenches, man?
For me, it was never being satisfied with the year, even if I had a good year. It was never being satisfied with the year and trying to find ways in my game or what was in my game that I can improve on each year. And so that was important to me to never rest on that one particular season because there was always room for improvement. How can I play the run better? How can I rush better? Well, this guy plays this way. What can I do differently against a certain guard or tackle or center? And so it was always finding ways in the off season to train differently. And then as I got older, I had to really do a paradigm shift in terms of how I took care of my body. Ate differently. Not that I ate bad before, but I really paid attention to how I eat. And then all the supplemental training, that was critically important too. And then when I think about, some of the things that help us recover, like the massages, the ice bath, I had to go from one massage a week to the week got, later in my career. But it was just really learning your body and then just being smarter as well. Getting your rest, that became so critical. Your rest and recovery as you got older. And guys like Tom Brady, it's a credit to him just in terms of how much he's paid attention to his body and adjusted along the way. But it took that. That's part of the longevity. And when you have an issue body-wise, just do what you can in off season, get it corrected.
Brian, Jason Leisure from the Chicago Sun-Times. You talked about growing up a Bears fan. What does it mean to you to represent Chicago going into the Hall of Fame? And with Chicago being such a basketball hotbed, was there a lot of pressure on you as a kid to focus on basketball?
No, because I wasn't really a good basketball player. So I think football just kind of found me. Actually, I played basketball, but I wasn't very good. You know what? Just growing up in Chicago, before I even played organized football, the neighborhood kids, we used to get together and go to this park. And we'd suit up. It'd be wintertime. We get, clothes, long sleeve, get padded up. And we go out there and play tackle football. And it was just fun. Kids out there having fun. And that's where you learn the toughness of the game. You're going to take a hit. You might get clothesline. You might get your legs taken up from under you and fall and get hurt, you get up, and you keep going. And guys are always trying to deliver the big hit. And so that's where you develop that toughness, just playing and enjoying football in that manner, just being innocent. And then having an opportunity to play organized football, it's like, wow, this is different. Okay, this is organized chaos, and I could do certain things and not be penalized for it. But Chicago, I think Chicago is very much, different because you cover it. I think Chicago is really a football town, but basketball took over. Basketball is really good in Chicago, and that was kind of my take. But I just enjoyed just being a Bear fan growing up, and actually it was my love for the Bears how I became a Niner fan. They played in the playoffs, and I'm like, who is this team beating my Bears? So I'm like, okay. And so Joe Montana popped on the scene, and then all of a sudden, paradigm shift happened, and started liking this team that was beating my Bears. So that was kind of